Today we got news of Palantir getting more money from an existing customer, and that comes on a downgrade from the end of last week. So what does this mean, and why do I still like the company long term? I'll let you know. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. As always, I want to give a shout out to everyone in the community for coming back. And for anyone new here, my name is Kevin. And on this channel, we talk a lot about traditional IPOs and direct listings. And when we have some time, we talk about some SPACs as well. But with this being Christmas week and the IPO activity being pretty slow, I thought we could come back and revisit Palantir. Now, as you guys might remember, I did a couple Palantir analysis videos back around Thanksgiving. And now with this being Christmas week and IPO activity being a little bit slow, I thought it'd be a good time to do another one. But before we start, I'll make you guys a deal. If you push that like button right now, I won't ask you again throughout the rest of the video. All right? All right, thanks. All right, let's get into it. All right, so let's start off going back to the end of last week. At that time, there was an analyst from Credit Suisse named Brad Zelnick who cut his rating on Palantir stock to underperform, although he did raise the price target from $13 to $17. So in his note, he said he's concerned about a couple of things. One, that 20 customers account for roughly 60% of the revenue, and that the company continues to be highly dependent on government contracts, which he feels it might be harder to come by in the future. As a quote, he says, "We downgrade Palantir to underperform as we see valuation disconnected from fundamentals, with the stock now trading over 50% above our previous blue sky scenario." Something else he mentioned was the upcoming lockup expirations, which we've talked a lot about on the channel, going back to the direct listing, and we expect that to happen in the middle of February. We know at that time, again, whenever the earnings are released, and again, we don't have a specific date yet, but when we do, I'll let you know. 3 days later, what we know is that 80% of the outstanding shares will become available to trade for the first time. So you're bringing a lot of supply into the market. And what that will generally do is drop the price. Again, it's not like it's a clear-cut thing that that's definitely what will happen, but again, it's just a tendency. So you think about it, there's a lot of supply that comes to the market and demand remains the same, the prices tend to drop. It's just like what happens with gas prices. When there's a lot of gas out there and people aren't driving like they did during the pandemic, the prices drop. So again, this could be the same thing that could happen. And again, we've talked about this on the channel, and now the analyst is basically saying the same thing. And again, not the first time that we've heard this. So after the downgrade, we got information on 2 online events that we can participate in. We talked about this in a video I put out over the weekend, and there's a lot more details than that, so I'll link it for you if you haven't seen it, as far as getting how to attend and whatnot. But for the first one, it was a live demo day. That was the first thing I heard about, January 26th. And what that will do is give a demonstration of the company's 3 primary software platforms, which are Gotham, Foundry, and Apollo. And so that will give more information to investors of really how the software works. So you'll get to see how it works, and that's pretty interesting to me, and hopefully you guys will think the same too. So again, if you want to see how to register for that one, watch that video. The second event that came out then was one talking about an online event from Washington Post, sponsored by Washington Post, with Alex Karp. And in that presentation, they're supposed to talk about the pandemic response. And as we know, Palantir has been involved in that, and they've gotten some contracts to help with vaccine distribution and tracking and whatnot. So if you want to catch that event, it's on January 7th. So again, we have 2 events to sort of look forward to with Palantir and getting more information about the company. Again, I'm not going to go through all the details on how to register and attend. If you didn't see it, check out my last video. Again, it'll be linked for you. So that leads us today where we got new information that Palantir released. And the report was that Army Vantage reaffirms Palantir partnership with $114 million agreement. So going back, this truly isn't a new agreement. The contract was signed last December. And in the contract, there was a base year and then an option for 3 additional years. So this is the second year. For the base year, Palantir got $110 million. So again, it's going up a little bit to $114 million for this year. According to the release, it says Vantage is powered by Palantir software, which provides a central operating system that enhances readiness and offers near real-time visibility and access to disparate Army data sources on an integrated data platform. The Palantir platform enables organizations to make better use of the data they have by breaking down silos and offering a single operating picture. And it is also stated in the release, Army Vantage has helped Army leaders make data-driven decisions in the fight against the pandemic and allowed billions of taxpayer dollars to be freed up for high-priority projects. So again, this isn't really new money, but it just continues to reaffirm the relationship that they have with the government. So this gets us to the point of a little bit of analysis. What does this all mean? And more importantly, as an investor, what does it mean for you? Basically, for me, the analyst downgrade and the contract news continues to support my own thoughts on Palantir. As far as the Army contract, it just continues to support the relationship that Palantir has with the government. So while it's not a new contract, it does a couple of things for me. One, it continues to support the niche that they have. And two, as a partner to the government, I just don't see Palantir becoming a target of the government like the Facebooks and the Googles of the world when it comes to potential regulation or being broke up in the future. And what I've said before, and I'll say it again because I still feel the same way, is I would like to see more growth on the commercial side to justify the valuation that it's at. However, the fact that they have this great relationship with the government, it is sort of a niche market that they actually own at this point. I still continue to like this company long term. Now, as to the online events that they're having, I think DYO and the community asked a really good question. Why are they doing this? Because there's so much interest in the company by the retail investor, I'm wondering if the demo day is to keep all the investors on board and also to help create a solid floor for the company stock. As far as the Karp event with the Washington Post, I think, again, that could be for investors, but I also believe it's a lot of positive PR for the company. Remember, before the company came out, there was a lot of negative news on them. One with, we heard their involvement with ICE. And so I think this gives the company an opportunity to come and show what the positive that they can do. And again, that's only going to make investors happy to see that and maybe potentially bring in new investors. I think from an investor perspective, you just go look at that it's going to be possibly choppy for the last couple of months. So in the near term, I see two things that continue to pressure the stock price. And as we've seen, it's basically been trading in a range in that mid-$20 to upper $20 range since the beginning of the month. The first is the valuation probably getting a little bit ahead of itself. We're getting a price to sales number around 50, which would be high for the industry. Now again, if we were seeing a lot more news on new contracts or new customer contracts, again, more that commercial side or even potentially other governments, if we're getting more news where there's new contracts, then you can sort of see how people will pay for the premium. But again, we're just not getting that. Doesn't mean it's not happening, but they're not releasing it if it is. So for me, that's going to weigh on the stock price. And then, of course, the big thing, and again, I've probably been the biggest person beating this drum since before the direct listing, the lockup shares expiring. We just, again, know there's 80% of shares going to be coming out to be traded for the first time. And so with that glut of supply, again, could push that stock down, which I talked a little bit about earlier. Now, the cynic in me wonders if the PR events are meant to keep investors motivated and to keep holding the stock through that lockup period. Remember, most locked up shares are held by insiders and they're looking for their first chance to potentially cash out on some of their stock. And what they want is that stock price to be as high as possible when they have that opportunity. A big drop in the price, they're not cashing out for just as much. So again, it's just really a big important factor for them. Again, you can say that's cynical, but what I would say is it makes sense for them. Again, they're not making up information, they're just giving it out there, but sometimes you can tailor the information in a way and how you release it that will give you the best bang for your buck. So something to keep in mind there. But at the end of the day, if you like Palantir long term, I think you're going to be fine. I think it's just a solid company, and I think it has the potential to grow more, again, if they can get into the commercial side of their business. I think that seeing the software demonstration may help some people realize what Palantir can do compared to other competitors, and that may not be as black as white as people like to think it is. I know people that love Palantir thinks their software is superior, but there are a lot of companies that have similar capabilities. It's just where Palantir is strong is that they can focus on customers, taking customers that other companies wouldn't, which again is those government types of customers. So again, I think at the end of the day, it's a good company to hold because again, it has business that isn't probably going away, has potential to gain more, but again, the valuation could be a little bit high. You have some near-term risk with the lockups. So if you're thinking about holding them long-term, you're probably going to be fine. Now, if you're looking at getting into the company as more of a trader and sort of keeping for the short term, basically over the next couple of months, you're probably gambling. Anyway, so that's my thoughts. What do you think? Do you agree or disagree? Let me know in the comments. And one other thing, if you like Palantir and other newly available public companies, and you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, we'd definitely love to have you join our growing community, which again now is over 10,000 subscribers. We have a lot of analysis on companies coming out. And at the very least, each week we have an IPO This Week episode where we go through all the companies that are coming out. So being a subscriber is a great way to keep up on that information and make sure you get it as soon as it comes out. So with that, I'll let you guys go. Thank you for watching, and until next time, have a great day.